Hello, welcome back to another album deep dive. I think you know what, this has been an interesting poll this week, because Arctic Monkeys came in at 51%, AM, and Taylor Swift came at 27, Cigarettes After Sex 16, and Raising Sand by Robert Plant and Alison Krauss came in at 6%. But there was a little comment section where people were raving about the Robert Plant and Alison Krauss album. So interesting. But thank you guys for voting on those, because I find it fun. I find it so interesting to see what people love. And the theme that this week was black and white. And this is our Arctic Monkeys AM album. I think I may have mentioned this last week with the Fleetwood Mac album. That is one of the biggest selling vinyls ever, and so is this album. So you will find both this AM album and the Fleetwood Mac album in a lot of people's vinyl collections. So why don't we get started and have a look at this. Something that has recently, while I was researching this has blown my mind, because this it's really cool. Some of you guys might know this, but I only just found this out. But we have this shape here, right? Okay, and that is a sound signal, and if you follow it like so, you get to the middle, and you've got AM. So from a distance, you don't notice that. You're just like, oh yeah, it's a thing. It's a sound wave. But there it is, AM. If you just crossed the A there, that would give it away. But I thought that was so clever. I thought that was really clever. Whoever designed this did a great job. And on the back we've got side 1, Do I Want to Know? And we've got Are You Mine? One for the Road. Arabella, I Want It All. Number 1 party anthem. Side 2 is Mad Sounds. Fireside. Why'd you only call me when you are high? Snap out of it. Knee socks. I wanna be yours. I think I Wanna Be Yours. I Wanna Be Yours, I think, is their top stream song on Spotify right now. When I was looking at their stuff on Spotify, throwing you around. I Wanna Be Yours was their top played songs, and interestingly enough, this album accounts for 8 out of 10 songs on their top played Spotify, or their most popular Spotify songs right now. So that gives you an indicator on how popular this album is. Let's have a look at this. Alright, so with these kinds of bands, it's often, because you don't, often with the covers and that, you don't see a lot of the members because they usually don't have a album cover where they're on it, but they chose to put a picture of themselves inside here. So we've got Alex, the vocalist. I'll just make sure sometimes I'm not sure if you can see. Okay. Then we've got the bassist, Nick, the drummer, Matt, and then the lead guitarist, Jamie. I'm all over the place, there it is, Jamie. And that's a really cool photo. All suited up. And let's have a look at this. Okay, so it has the it's got the lyrics here, which is cool. Sometimes they don't have a lot of space to put the lyrics on the insert, but because there's 12 songs, they made space for it, which is good. Here's the actual vinyl. That Soundwave on the front, and then it's got the track listings on the other side there. So this back. This is a really nice matte finish for this vinyl. Love that sound of this. So satisfying. I'm not even staying on the line. It also looks a bit like sunglasses. Okay, so let's get into talking about this album musically. It was their 5th studio album, and it made a distinction between their previous work because it was a lot more hip-hop influenced. It had this sort of more groovy sound compared to their previous works. So the album, the creation of the album was focused very much on being a studio recording, you know, where everything is recorded separately and mixed and really polished and clean, because the band, and they're mainly in their previous 4 albums, they would record things all together and do like a live recording for some of the tracks, and that's really common with particularly rock bands to do that, because they get to capture this raw energy and synergy amongst them. I've got a friend who's in a rock band who does that, who records all together sometimes and separately, but it is a different art altogether, because when you're segmenting things, you've got to be able to keep the same energy and feel of the song. It's quite tricky, because when it's separated and you're on your own doing your thing, whether it be vocals or guitar or whatever, you need to go into that world as if you're performing it, rather than just doing an obligatory thing to make a thing, if you know what I mean. So that's a long-winded way of saying this was more focused on being a studio polished product. And they did so well at achieving like a crossover into this more groovy hip-hop sound, which they cited influences like Aaliyah and Outkast for their influences. And I always love that when a band or an artist just pivots into a different direction but is still able to maintain their essence and their sound, and a lot of that is often the vocals. So this album has drawn some comparisons to the Velvet Underground's work and style, particularly with the name, the AM name. Alex, the singer, said that they basically took that idea to have the initials of the band as the title of the album, because the Velvet Underground did that. They had a VU album. So this album was recorded at Joshua Tree in California. 2013 it was released in September. And for me, this was the first time they really got on the map, and the first time I heard about them properly. I'd heard a few them mentioned a lot, but I never knew what they were actually about until this album. And everyone was playing it at the time, and it like I was gonna say it's similar to like Lana Del Rey's Born to Die album. It just has this long lifespan. People are constantly discovering it and enjoying it, and it's still relevant, and it's still a popular style. It's like the influences and the combination of subjects and instruments and I guess aesthetic. It's like it just creates this everlasting life because it's not too it's like its own pocket, it's in its own lane. So they had a few people guest appearances on this, Josh Homme, Bill Ryder Jones and Pete Thomas, and I think that was vocals, like backing vocals and featured vocals. It doesn't mention any of that on the track listings, but I read up that there was some featured artists. Alex Turner wrote about 90% of the songs, so it's clear that that's the main way the band work in terms of writing. I haven't actually found out much about their process in terms of how they put a song together, but I did read that Alex liked to have guest people come in, like Josh Homme, because it helped bring new energy and helped have, when they were getting stuck, have someone else come in and have a listen or give advice. And I think that's a really good idea, because as a band or an artist or creator or whatever, you can get really insular in your head about what you're doing and what it sounds like and whether it's good or bad. And sometimes you just need that second opinion. So commercially, this has become their most successful album. Topped the charts in several countries, including number 1 in Australia, Belgium, Croatian international charts, Netherlands, Ireland, New Zealand, Portugal, Scotland, UK, US rock albums. It had like 4 different number 1 spots in the US. So they broke through with this album. Some of their most popular or well-known tracks from this is obviously I Want to Be Yours, Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, and I think Miley Cyrus helped get that track out to a more younger demographic, and I heard that they really loved that cover that she did. I think she was doing it around her Bangers era, where her live performances, I think she was doing that, performing that song. My favorite songs are Arabella and Fireside, and I never get sick of those songs. I love the groove and the punkiness and the hip hop elements that they fused, and with Alex Turner's voice, he's got one of those voices where you just don't know what to expect. You don't know what he's going to look like. I feel like that does give you the essence of it. He looks like the essence of his voice, if that makes sense. But I love this. He's got this real badass kind of I don't give a and I love that about him. And I feel like his voice sounds like beyond his years, because he's still only in his 30s, I think, and back then he would have been in his 20s, and he sounded like, like a well-versed, wise owl. So yeah, this in terms of its critically did really well. Metacritic's score out of 100 was 81, based on 36 reviews. And as I mentioned earlier, it's recognized as one of the best-selling vinyl albums of the decade. So I'd love to know what your favorite tracks of this album are. You can also vote for the next album in a poll. I will link the poll down below. I hope you enjoyed this dive, and I'll see you again next week for another one.